Do you feel like you have mastered all the technology in your life that you have access to? Yeah, me neither. Why is it that we have so much at our disposal, but we have not mastered all the different pieces? And does technology seem to get in your way or make you more efficient? Look, what if we told you that the access to all of the things and information that you need in this world is at your fingertips if you would just take the time to figure out how to master at least some of it? You don't have to master all of it. We're going to dive into that today in this new episode. Welcome to another one of our Kristen and Charlie chats. We are Kristen Smedley and Charlie Collins, the co-founders of Thriving Blind Academy and your hosts here on the Successibility channel. Today we are going to talk about how you can transform your life and get access to the information and people you need if you would just master some of the technology, you all. Some. Don't get overwhelmed here. We don't need to know about every single thing. We are just going to master some of it. And listen, stick around to the end because I'm going to reveal one process that is out there already in place if you have a K-12 student in your life that needs accessible technology to do all the things in the classroom. And we also have a resource that is in every state in the United States where you can try technology before you purchase. How about them apples? What do you think, Charlie? Let's dive into this.
All right. I think that you're very enthusiastic about something that creates a bit of frustration in my life, technology. And I'm just going to jump in and tell a little story that, I didn't want it. Okay, so it's a process, right? I mean, first of all, I got to know I need it. Then I got to want it. Then I got to say, okay, I don't know how to, but am I really willing to put the time in, ask for the help, take the trainings, do what I need to do in order to get to the other side? Because anytime I've done that and I look back, I'm like, gosh, why did I fight that? This is so much better now. And I when I was kind of spinning my wheels and doing circles and I didn't have direction. I didn't know where I was going. I was embarrassed. I didn't use anything. And back then I was 2,200, legally blind in both eyes. I'm probably 2,400 plus or more in my eyes now. I couldn't get through a day without using tools. That's just accessible, adaptive type tools, let alone technology, regular technology, which all comes together. So, Kristen, I got offered an opportunity, but in order to step into this new opportunity to advance in life, I was going to need to learn a few things. And that scared me because I don't know, maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I'll fail. Maybe I won't understand what they're teaching me, and I don't want to look stupid. It's hard enough believing I'm less than and sighted in the world outside of me is better off just because they have better eyesight. I mean, that was a belief I carried. So I took this chance, and I stepped into it, but I had to raise my hand and say, I need help. And thank God for a state agency that was I had a counselor that said, I've been waiting for this phone call for 10 years. And Joe was blind. And he said, I've been waiting. I knew the day would come. And he was thrilled. And he didn't, the best part about it wasn't like, they didn't talk down to me. They met me where I was, if you know what I mean, where my mind was, where my nervousness, like, it's like I was, walking out onto the stage at a civic center with 15,000 people, and they all had binoculars staring at me. It was okay, and he made it, and they helped me. I got a position at a motorcycle dealership, but I could never have made it without using a CCTV, a video magnification system, to magnify the print up onto a screen and magnify everything I was handwriting. Back then, we hand wrote forms and things with a pen. And then I got proper lighting and I got a computer. I'm like, a computer? I don't know anything about it, let alone the 4,000 little keys on a keyboard. And why would they ever not put them in order? I remember thinking A, B, C, D. That would make sense. Why is it all a mess? I'm never gonna. And then, okay. They said just one day at a time. And over time, and it didn't take that long, once I released the blocks. And I know that with any technology, once I release the blocks of I can't do something, I'm never going to learn this, and just said, just try. Let's just do this for 30 minutes today. And in a short amount of time, Kristen, I understood very well how to use a video magnification system that I could turn on and use and be. I hadn't read in 10 years. I was reading magazines, manuals. I was reading books. I was writing. I was selling a lot of equipment in this dealership. My life transformed in a few months because not only did my mindset, I started mastering the limiting beliefs and things. I started saying, oh, this is what's keeping me stuck. It's not outside of me. And now I can introduce that tool out there isn't the problem. It's not I'm less than or a loser because I got to use this. This is going to make me more efficient, more effective, and happier. And give me the ability to serve and help my customers better. And it did all of that. And I went with it. And I remember I would stay late at work and I'm going back and forth on this XY table and I'm reading and I'm like, oh, my brain just lit up. And I know you know this because you've seen it with your boys. It's like, wait, I have access now to the world around me, the information, the books, the things I need so I can succeed without sight. Succeed in school and succeed in the game of life. And it's like those barriers, breaking down those barriers that aren't really there unless we put them there.
Well, Charlie, I could go on, and I will go into some detail because I know the people watching are going to want to know what my boys used in terms of, as they were growing up and to get them to where they are now. But I will say this, the biggest thing that technology and the accessible pieces of some of the technologies have done for my boys is, first of all, level the playing field so that they had access to everything and then they could go from there. But also it just, in a world where every single day when the boys were growing up, I was trying to stay 2 steps ahead to make things accessible and make people think about the way to educate them properly and have, all of their hopes and dreams that they wanted to chase, trying to pave the way that they would be able to do that without having blindness as the burden. But at the end of the day, there were so many nights where it was frustrating, where some of us in the home that are sighted will be watching TV and the boys would like to sit in and listen in on some of the shows, but then could not access the TV if one of us sighted people wasn't in the room. And that used to just drive me crazy. And then the cable company came out. Do we still call it the cable company? The telecommunications company, whatever it's called now, comes out with this little device where you can talk into the remote and access the entire guide on the TV screen that would announce to you what all the shows are. And I remember being in tears when Comcast came out with the talking guide, because I'm like, oh my gosh, the boys could sit there on their own. I mean, they had won baseball championships. They were top in their class. They were achieving at a high level and living the lives of their dreams by design, and then couldn't access the darn TV. And it was like, people thought, well, I guess blind people don't watch TV. Well, some of them do and wanted to enjoy the family programs we were watching. So they came out with something like that. And I can remember people, especially like my dad and some older people in my family, like, I don't understand. Why do I have to have this new remote that I don't know how to use? And I said, think about it. You just hit the blue button and talk into it, and you go to the channel that you want now. And then they added audio description, and the boys figured out how to access that for the shows. And it just became like, finally we could all relax at night. Of course, Now some of the Netflix shows that they watch with all the audio description built in, I'm like, I don't know that I'm so happy that we can access every one of these shows. But just something like that where so many people tend to be hesitant of, oh, it's a new remote with new technology and I don't want any parts of this. The access that you can have to things. And you know what the funniest thing is when I think about it, Charlie? I can't even tell you how many times I walk through the living room and crack up because there's Carissa, my totally sighted daughter, yelling into the remote what she wants the channel to be as opposed to hitting the buttons and skimming through. So it's a nice access point for all of us. But that was one of the biggest things of technology that really, it wasn't helping the boys get into their AP classes or access the SAT and the AP exams or get into college. It was just helping them chill out like every other kid their age.
Samsung is actually, they do a great job. I mean, their smart TVs all have screen readers built into them. Forget a cable company or the satellite company, or you don't even have cable because it's becoming like, I have a landline, like a home phone. What are you, nuts?
You do?
I still do.
Wow.
I can't get rid of it because my parents, we moved to this town in 1970, and it's their phone number, and the last four digits are 0002. So I'd give my number, and people would say, "Oh my gosh, how did you get that number?" I said, "Well, we were the second family to move into this town, and they would believe me." So I can't seem to get rid of the number. So we'll work on that in another issue. But next, because I buy Samsung monitors. Now I have a Dell monitor. They don't have a screen reader built in. I have an HP. They don't have a, but Samsung does a great job. And people don't have cable, so they can't speak into it anymore. But I can say, I'm not going to say it. I'll say it softly. Hey, Google. And if I do that, I can say, play this on Netflix on that TV in my house, and I can walk to that room and it's playing. Turns on the stereo, it does everything. So talk about mastering. How much do you want to master? Why do you want to master? The smart homes, I can't, it's so funny we're here, but a smart home, all my lighting, all my things are on time. I spent the time. I did not know what I was doing in the beginning. I understood that wouldn't it be nice if things were on timers and I could say turn this on, turn this off. If I could tell it to play music out in the garage, down in the basement, out by the pool, or in my office, wouldn't that be cool? What does it cost to do that? It's like $30, a little device you plug in, you put it on your Wi-Fi. Who knows? We'll probably have trainings on all that, how to set up your home for $150 and turn it into a smart home. But what I'm saying is, it's again, how to master. Now, I have a family member that tried to do that, and that was the problem. They tried. If I try to get up right now, I'm probably not going to move. But if I say I am now getting up and moving, you know what I mean, how we talk to our body. So this family member, and I couldn't understand. It's not hard. I'll spend the time. No, I just can't. I don't have time. This thing doesn't work. And just gave up on the smart home. But when this family member comes to my home and sees how everything just works, they're like, well, I want all that. I said, no, you don't. Because if you did, you would put the time in. You'd become willing to face the fact, maybe I don't know how, but I see the outcome. I know what I want, the result. So we talked about it in our one. There's a price to pay, right? I paid the price dearly for not getting the willingness or tapping into the willingness and stepping into the unknown, that fear of the unknown. What happens if I don't figure it out? It isn't trigonometry or calculus. And for some people, that's, well, what are you talking about? That's easy. Not for me. No. But so you know what I mean? It's like, just take a breath and master. And you said it in the beginning. I don't need to know. I have an iPhone. I've had an Android. I'm going to go back to Android. I might go back to iPhone someday. I like switching it up. Some people say, you're nuts. No. I like to know technology. I want to be able to. Now, what does my iPhone? Why do these notifications keep coming? It keeps buzzing. How come I don't know how to? Oh, I hear it all the time. Why did I become the guy that didn't know anything about technology to the guru in my family? And I don't want to be the guru. And I don't call myself a guru. But I'm the one who gets all the phone calls, the blind guy. Hey, can you help me on my phone? No. You can't afford me. Because you won't listen. You're just going to tap where I don't tell you, and I'm not going to deal with that. So, but I said, yes, of course I will help you. So, I know how to shut off notifications, turn them on. I know how to silence my phone. I know how to do that when I'm on a So it's like, why would I want to know how to do that? Well, you and I both know. You and I do video, we do meetings together, we do online things, we run webinars. And the last thing you want is ding, boop, bing, phone ringing, some bell ringing in the other room. Things that just heighten our awareness of, I'm frustrated. And why am I frustrated? And somebody get the hammer and smash that phone. Why am I getting to this point? Because I haven't taken the time. I take responsibility. I'm setting up my environments for success. I'm trying to maximize my environment for living with legal blindness so I can succeed throughout the day and reduce anxiety, stress, and frustration. I could say that. My brother, I said, oh, it's so nice. I said, I have moved from frustration to freedom because I started mastering all my technologies, which then helps me move forward and introduce new technology. And I do get a little frustrated in the beginning because guess what? Cameras and almost everything is not made for people with vision impairments, this stuff. But that's just the way the world goes round, and I can't get mad. I can, but then I don't. Then the how-to, the brain power of trying to learn something, just gets shut down, and then I start blaming and complaining and feeling sorry for myself, and then I realize I hang with sighted people, and wait, they don't know it either, and they can see. It has nothing to do with my eyesight. Maybe at times, okay? At certain times. If I could see that, it'd probably be easier because I can't get my arm all the way up that thing to feel it. Because I see with my hands, you know what I mean. You see it all the time. You watch it in real time in your house. But I have a question, Kristen. Now, I know you built but you helped the framework, the staging, the place for the boys to come home to and to go to school and looking for their job. But you gave them a place to succeed in order to put their hands and to learn as everything they needed to so they could get the right device, the right training, the right people in their lives. You didn't do it for them, but you helped align that for them. And it's not like you had to master the Braille and Speak, the Braille Note, the Braille Sense, whatever the Braille device was, but basically a device that gave them all of their education right at their fingertips with some commands. I know you didn't have, but how did you master all of that and make it work seamlessly or close enough to seamlessly?
Well, I didn't learn how to use any of it. Here's what I learned a long time ago. In the very beginning, was running around trying to learn every single thing. I learned Braille with the boys. I learned all about mobility techniques. I learned all the technology that was out there. I brought in all the CCTVs to my kitchen to figure them all out. I learned everything, and then I was exhausted. And I also realized that me learning everything there was to know about their tools gave them no room to have to learn anything on their own other than using it. And when something wouldn't work, they looked at me to fix it. Right? So not only was I exhausted, I was spending all the time on that as opposed to things like knowing their education curriculum years in advance to get them ready for and talk with teachers and do all the things that eventually made them very successful. They needed to figure out the technology on their own. So interestingly enough, which they did, and they had companies on speed dial that probably Probably a lot of the companies. Humanware, I'm certain, has Michael and Mitchell's pictures up because they called them so many times about how defective their products were, and it was when they were shutting down those Braille note takers would just stop working in the middle of class and had nothing to do with Wi-Fi. It was a lot of defective problems because there's not a lot of competition on the market, but they would call them. I wasn't the one calling them anymore because they were frustrated. They couldn't finish a test. They couldn't prove they did the homework, whatnot. But what that ended up doing for them, knowing that they had to be responsible to figure out the glitches or call the company themselves we're talking 4th, 5th, 6th grade, I had them doing that. By high school, they were able to manage all kinds of, they could problem solve, whether it was technology or something else. They ended up fixing people's technology. Wait, let me tell you this one story. Michael, I was invited to speak at a Services for the Blind here in my hometown, and I brought Michael along. He was in middle school at the time, and I said, they always want to meet you guys, so why don't, he happened to have a free night that he could come with me. And he did a presentation where I was like, hey, on the way over, I'm like, any chance you want to just give like a 10-minute of the technology that you use in your life so they get an understanding? So he did this whole thing, and then they were playing a video about their organization because it was a big fundraising gala. and the technology didn't work. So Michael's like, hold on a minute, let me just pause my speech and go over and fix. And there's all these sighted people and board members and staff that could not get the technology running to show this video. And Michael's like, give me 5 seconds. Figured the whole thing out. It was hilarious. Brought the house down. But anyway, that's a little bit off course. What them having the technology, like even just the cell phone. I mean, the Braille note takers were phenomenal. They could access their entire education and figure things out. Having a cell phone in their hand, and people thought it was a little nuts that way back when they were, cell phones were new, and Michael was in, I think, 4th grade when I got him the first clunky one to start just messing around with it and figuring out, because I started seeing the world it was going to open for them. Think about this. When you're 4th, 5th, 6th grade, maybe 4th and 5th, and recess time, kids are out running, and a blind child has no idea where the kids are, or gym class, it is very hard to understand spatially what's happening. The best times were when everyone was sitting still in a desk in the classroom. My boys loved that part because they knew where everybody was. Well, once they got a cell phone in their hand in about 6th, 7th, 8th grade, when all the socializing, and there's going to be a bunch of parents that want to shut this video off. Don't, just bear with me on this one. I know we can't stand it when kids are sitting next to each other in a group and they're texting instead of speaking to each other. But for my boys, just understand the glory of that for a moment. They didn't have to chase anybody around or ask people where people were standing or who's where. They could socialize through group text. And from doing that in middle school and early high school, it gave them, they got to know people a lot easier than trying to find them and understand who was standing in a group talking. So then they got to also show their personalities in these group texts, and then eventually the Snapchat groups and the DM groups on the different apps that were accessible. And I'll tell you, well, it was a journey, learning how to use the phone for one thing, and then the next, and then expanding. And by the time they were in college, that's how they met everyone in their dorm and their classes. They would develop these group texts, and they would send a message out. Who wants to go to dinner? I'm going to head to this dining hall at 5:00. Look for me in there. And their social lives just became, the barriers just kept falling away, because they had access to people that they didn't have before, simply by learning how to use the cell phone. Now, all that said, my Mitchell, my younger blind son, is a master campaigner and marketer and salesman to try to get me to get him the brand new iPhone as soon as it comes out, and he will list like the top 5 accessibility features, and I'm like, yeah, no, you got to get a job to pay for that because it's $1,000. But it really did make a lot of the barriers that people perceive blindness causes. It's not blindness causing the barrier. It's the access to things that's the barrier. And a lot of that fell away by something as simple as a cell phone.
And you said the access, but the access begins with the human, and the human is blocking the access most of the time. Yeah, that is cool. So we, master your technology. So I don't know. I bet you most people know how to use their washer and dryers, right? And especially the newer ones, they got some serious modes on those suckers. And then you got ovens and microwaves, and I have 2 bump dots on a microwave. I don't have a clue what all the buttons are. I know how to do time, start. That's all I need, and I mastered it. But do I know every button, what it does, its function, how to stop spinning the thing, turn on the fan, and the lid. Let's say I know how to do the light, the fan, and I know how to start and stop. I've mastered the microwave. That's the level I need, so I don't get to it and start thinking, I might want to punch this. This microwave is pissing me off. Well, the microwave can't. It's a dead thing. Unless I let it go. But you know what I mean. So I don't blame the microwave for my frustration. Charlie, take a minute. Ask my wife or my daughter. Clean the surface. Put a big bump dot on the 5 and the 0. And now I know the layout. I know how to get to everything. Now, go down to the stove. What do I want to do with this? I have little burners, bigger burners. I got warmer one. I'm like, oh, whatever happened to simple? You turn a knob. So let's learn that. I got a convection oven. I got all these buttons. Guess what? I have bump dots. I know I've mastered that. I can use it on my own without getting frustrated. So I kind of take a look, and that's what I say to people is, you don't need to become a master of the iPhone. That is definitely not necessary. But or an Android, because I certainly don't like giving iPhone all the credit, because Android was way ahead of them. But I will say that you do need to master what it is that's going to help move you forward in life. You must master that. If you want to use texting and group texting, and you want to dictate, and you want to know how to delete text and manage your phone and keep the hard drive not full. That's all. I have all those skills because that's what I like to do. I like to keep my equipment. People take better care of their cars than they do their bodies, some people. And I like to take care of my desktop. I don't use laptops. I use desktops. I have 3 of them in the house that I use, but I like to keep them maintained. That's mastering my technology. Why? I want them to run fast, stay clean, fans. I take them apart and vacuum the insides of my computers. Why? Because you wouldn't believe the buildup and what gets on the conductors and slows it down. So I keep all that stuff clean. I do that on Saturdays. Not every Saturday, but I am a little bit anal in certain areas. But because of that, when I sit in my environments and I go to do things, things don't break usually. I mean, technology's going to, but I'm not like, oh God, where's the power button? I mean, some people don't even know what that is. So Kristen, you and I right now, we're using quite a bit of technology. We both have earpieces. Of course, we can't see yours because you hide it, but we have earpieces. So here, let me just explain this. Kristen and I are on FaceTime audio. So we're using the internet through our cell phones, talking to each other through these earpieces. We cannot see each other on camera right now. Kristen's recording in her home. I'm recording in my home locally. Then it gets, so we finish all that. We go back and forth. Then the videos get together, and then I put them in a software. And then I got to line them up. Then I got to, okay, so it's technology. Because what is the end product? We want a nice, clean video with good sound, good lighting that people will watch and get value from. And but we want it to be professional. So we know what we want. We begin with the end in mind. And this took some time. We had to learn some things. We had to understand lighting and when to hit record. And there's still times I smile at my camera thinking Kristen's seeing me, but she isn't. I forget.
I hear your smile.
Yeah, I know. But she's in my ear, I'll tell you that. A little more. But we have fun with it. And each of us, you're going to get frustrated, but you're going to get a lot more frustrated if you don't take the time to learn what you need to master in your environment for your success. You don't need to know it all. That's why I used to give up, because I thought I had to know it all. Know it all. And here's another tip. When you learn something cool, new, and you say, I'm just going to spend 10 minutes today learning how to do something better on my phone or on my TV or on my computer. And then I go somewhere and I show people it, because it anchors more in our body. First of all, if we learn it, that's great. We do it, that's great. And then some things I don't do a lot, and Kristen and I both, like, I did this once before. But there's a way, right? But there's a way that you build, like, take a screenshot, do whatever, have an album on your phone that says how-tos. I don't know. So I'm doing that more and more, because if you are like me and you're doing something, and then a month later you go to do it again. Now, I don't know where I saved that file, and I'm doing this long process to get to the end game again that I didn't learn. I didn't take the time to create a system of process or learn something. It took me a long time. The second time it took me a long time. The third time it took me a long time. Shame on me. I mean, why would I ever want to put myself through that over and over? It's that darn willingness to, but if I stop, because I feel sometimes when I want to learn something, it's like, is that a high enough value? Is that really going to move me forward in life? Or should I just jump to the next thing? And I know we all could relate to that. Life is busy, and it's like, if I just keep moving, stuff will all come together, and sometimes stuff all falls apart when I do that.
Well, Charlie, you mentioned something important. You keep saying it over and over about you don't have to master everything, and, pick a few things for the things that you want to do. And the first point I wanted to make is that I mentioned in the Thriving Blind Academy mentor calls that we do weekly. And when we were talking about this topic and this principle, I was talking about the story of when my Michael was the sound guy at the theater for his ginormous high school. And they changed the soundboard from a manual one that he had all the buttons memorized to a touch screen, all electronic, that he had absolutely no access to. Now, one of the routes he could have taken was to have people there constantly telling him what the buttons were, maybe putting dots on it. I know he had explored that for about 5 seconds, if that was going to be an option. Instead, he chose to take the technology pieces, the Braille note, the Mac computer with voiceover, and I don't know whatever else he used. He chose to use all the tools he had already mastered to see how they could possibly work with this soundboard. And don't you know that within a few days, he figured it out. He got all the tools he already knew exactly how to use to run this soundboard through, and never even touched the touch screen of this brand new glorious thing. He used all the other things. So you don't always have to take on the new big thing that comes out if the other things that you already know how to use work just fine for you. Which rolls right into my next point, and actually I referenced it at the beginning of this that I was going to give you a free resource. If you have a K-12 student in the United States, and I forget what it's called in the UK, someone will have to comment here and tell me what this is called. But they do, and I want people that, even if you're outside of the K-12 system, think about this concept. You get to have what's called a SETT, SETT, where you evaluate the teachers of the visually impaired or somebody that is associated with assistive technology in a school district comes to your child and evaluates what pieces of technology they should get to know. They don't come at it with, here's everything on the market and you need to learn all of it and then pick which one you like the best. They look at first the student, the person. Think about yourself if you're looking at technology for yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? What are the things that interest you or that you turn away from? What are all the things about you, the person, first? And then the environment that you're in, the learning environment, the work environment, the home environment. Charlie was talking about the appliances that he uses to cook, and also all of this equipment that we're using to create these videos in a business. Think about the environment second, and then the tool at the end of that. You got it's person first. Same thing with everything we're talking about in success principles. It is about 100% responsibility. All of the things that you control and your goals and what you want to achieve, then the environment that you're in, and then hone in on the tool or tools that are going to work best for you. You don't have to know them all.
Yeah. Sorry, I was listening and just like starting to add things to my list of what I want to learn more. Oh boy, I don't know that as well. And another thing is that I love being around real savvy people on technology, because they show me things and I'm like, hey, I want to be able to do that. So it's being in the Monday Mentors, coming into the community, hanging out with like-minded, savvy people that are really crushing it out there in a good way, succeeding without sight, and saying, like Eric told us on the Monday thing, well, this is what I do. And it's like, that is because there's lots of tricks to master your technology. Because with vision impairment and blindness, out of the box, that might not do it. So I might need to blend in something else. And he has a PowerPoint slide. He then uses Microsoft AI, Seeing AI it's called. He snaps it. Then that picture he can convert to text and paste it into his notes. It's like, wow. But you got to be around this stuff in order to learn it, hear it, experiment with it, and see if it's something that's going to help you master your technology in your life. So yeah, this has been really good. I want to ask a question for those of you who drive, and you have probably a car 2015 or even older, but really all the way to current. I guarantee if I polled every single person who's a driver, not one of them knows the technology in their car. Mastered it. No way. Think about those darn radio complex systems. They're like home entertainment systems, let alone a computer with all the monitoring of the car, that you can hit all these buttons and tire pressure and oh my gosh, and oh, my next oil change and my last one, and now this, that. I mean, and then it has a hard drive in it, and I mean, it goes on and on and on. And the technology in cars can be very overwhelming, but I guarantee everybody can get in their car and go from their home to the grocery store and back home successfully. And you probably, if you haven't mastered what you need to know within it to get the most out of your vehicle, you're still in the process of learning more. And if you have kids, sighted or not, let them loose. They'll figure it out and teach you.
Exactly. And they'll taunt each other. My Michael, when he first moved to college, he had everybody's smart light bulbs set up, and then he would blink them from where he was controlling the app, and we were thinking there were storms and stuff.
Oh, I did that all the time when I traveled. Or we have all these the speakers around the house, and I can do a broadcast. Hello, everybody. And they'd all, God, Dad! And I'm in California.
That's what Michael would do. I'm like, what is happening? And he didn't tell us for a while. I'm like, what is happening? We're haunted.
Yeah.
There, so you can have fun. And siblings can still taunt each other from far away. Good times.
So remember, everyone, that you don't need to master everything, but you do need to think, document throughout your day, where am I finding myself frustrated when I come into my technology, into my life that I'm already using? What would make my day be less frustrating? And because we don't want that. We don't want to get frustrated, anxious, stressed, or angry throughout the day. And if you're realizing that's happening, and it's due a lot to, I don't understand how to do something on my phone, on my computer, in my car, in my environments, at work, take a step back, take a breath, and know over time, a little each day, you'll look back and say, oh, I wish I did that so much sooner. It isn't nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Exactly. Oh, and also I had promised a second resource that if you are in the United States, you can Google in your state the lending library. If you are looking for assistive technology to try out, Google lending library or talk to your Evoke Rehab folks, or if you're in the K to 12 system, the assistive technology coordinator or technology director of the district. And you can actually try a lot of these products before you look to purchase one. It doesn't have every single make and model, but it is a very good starting point. If you Google that and don't find that in your state, leave it in the comments that your state doesn't seem to have something, or we can help you direct you to where to get that. And if you're outside of one of our subscribers and viewers that is outside of the United States, drop in the comments of this video of where you are located and if you have such a resource as a lending library. And those of you that are outside of the country, as I mentioned before, if you don't have if your program isn't called the SET technology assessment, let us know what it is called for all the folks that come to us asking about that tool. And then we'll keep a running list of the different countries and what it's called. This has been another fun chat, Charlie.
Yes, it has. And it's time to go master our next bit of technology today.
For me, it's lighting. It's always lighting. Charlie's like ready to spit nails over my lighting issues.
Yeah.
I'm going to master the lighting, Charlie. I'm making an agreement with myself. Watch that video, and I'm going to master the technology.
It's so funny how when we do this stuff, it's like, oh, wait, I need to make an agreement. Oh, wait, I got to be persistent. Oh, my gosh, I got to take responsibility. Why did we ever do this? I have no wiggle room to weasel out of something.
Nope. And we've got a video to show it to you if you're going to try.
And I just want to emphasize and reemphasize, if you have a shortcut, a trick, or something you do with technology in your life that you know would benefit families and parents or younger adults or whatever it might be, please put it in the comments, add it, share it. Let us all come together and, share our tips and tricks and help each other. I mean, again, that one Eric shared was awesome. Simple, but awesome. And it works great. And I could see that working in my life.
Wait, I can't stop. I'm trying to hold back my smile from laughing so hard because I'm like, oh my God, if everyone's going to be dropping comments about all these tips and Charlie is going to be geeking out, reading all of them and trying all these new things.
Yeah, that does.
And then I'm going to get text
off
messages
course.
About it.
Yeah.
That'll
Hold
be
on,
great.
Kristen, I can't come to the meeting right now. There's 4 more tips I got to play with.
And then he sends me the emoji guy that I can't do on my phone. His guy that looks like him with the thumbs up.
You can do that.
Yeah, I just haven't figured out how yet. So I'll make an agreement with myself that I'll figure out my emoji guy. All right, if this was helpful for you, please make sure you share this with someone in your life that it would be helpful for also. And be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get all of these informative and entertaining videos. Even if it's just me entertaining myself.
Hey, whatever works.
We'll see you next time on the next chat.
Bye-bye.